Membrane transport. What is it? It refers to the movement of molecules or particles through a membranous barrier, or in simple terms, the movement of particles in and out of the cell. There are three types of membrane transport. These are simple passive diffusion, facilitated diffusion, and active transport. First, we have simple passive diffusion. First of all, diffusion is the movement of molecules from areas of high concentration to low concentration until they are spread out and at an equilibrium. The solute moves with the concentration gradient. Here's a cell's membrane, the cytoplasm, which is inside the cell, and the extracellular space, which is outside the cell. This is unregulated and requires no energy. Molecules that are able to do this are small nonpolar solutes. This is possible because the middle of the phospholipid bilayer is nonpolar. Some examples of the molecules are oxygen, carbon dioxide, and fatty acids. Specific particles have the ability to pass through the membrane unassisted because of the special properties of the phospholipid bilayer. The membrane consists of two opposing sides of phospholipids. A phospholipid consists of a hydrophilic head and two hydrophilic tails. The head is also polar and the tails are nonpolar. As you can see, the solute concentration on the outside is much higher than the inside of the cell. So the molecules pass through the membrane until the solute concentration is even throughout. Osmosis is the same, but with water molecules. Here we have a cup with a semi-permeable membrane separating the two sides. In both sides of the membrane, there is a solvent, which is water, but on the left side, there's more solute than that on the right. The semi-permeable membrane only allows water to pass through, so based on the side with more solute, it causes the water to move from high water potential to low water potential until the ratios even out. Next is facilitated diffusion. There are two parts, channel-mediated and carrier-mediated. Here's a cell membrane with two different channel proteins. On the left is a gated channel which needs a stimulant to be opened, and it is only open for a short amount of time before it closes. On the right we have a leak channel, which means it's always open, so molecules can always pass through. The next part is carrier-mediated, which uses another type of channel protein. Here a molecule binds to the carrier protein, which then changes shape and moves the molecule to the other side of the membrane. Active transport is needed for small, charged, or polar molecules. This is because the polar molecules bounce off the nonpolar phospholipid bilayer. Channel-mediated is used for ions or small molecules. Carrier-mediated is for small polar molecules such as simple sugars, simple carbohydrates, and amino acids. Lastly, we have the active processes. There are two types, active transport and vesicular transport. These processes require outside energy to work. First, we have active transport. In this, the solute moves against the concentration gradient, so low solute moves to high solute concentration. Here is an ion transport pump. The side with the triangles are potassium with a positive charge, and the circles are sodium with a positive charge. Shown here, the sodium molecules and an ATP or adenosine triphosphate, which is a type of cellular energy, bind to the pump. ATP leaves a phosphate and breaks down to ADP to produce energy, which activates the pump. This changes the shape of the pump to push out the sodium ions. Then, two potassium ions bind to the pump, and the pump reverts to its original shape, and the potassium ions and the phosphate are released into the cell. Lastly, we have vesicular transport, which uses a vesicle to transport materials. A vesicle is a membranous sac that is used to transport materials in and out of the cell. Vesicular transport is used for larger substances such as proteins or carbohydrates. Here, a vesicle in the cell is shown carrying out substances where it binds to the cell membrane and then opens up and releases those substances outside of the cell. This is called exocytosis. The opposite shown here, where substances enter the vesicle through the membrane, is called endocytosis. Overall, a cell uses three main types of membrane transport to receive and expel different substances. Thank you for watching.